Hey, welcome to Microcurrent with me. Today we are going to focus primarily on the lift. So while we're kind of getting things together, I want you to get your lift set up. If you don't have a lift, if you have a Blend Mini or a Zip or a Bear, any type of unit, even if you have probes or gloves, you can still follow along like we're doing the lift. But today I just thought it would be nice to show you one probe can do so much. So we're warming up with the Anma, and I love to warm up the scalp because the scalp holds so much tension we just don't realize. And all of that tension creates other tension other places. And the best analogy I think of is for those of you old enough to have worn pantyhose when we were younger. Do you remember you just had like a kink like in the toe or in the crotch, and then it just threw off the whole vibe of the pantyhose? Like it just wasn't comfortable. You just knew somewhere something was catching. Well, it's really similar to fascia. Fascia starts at the very, very top all the way down. And not only does it cover us horizontally and vertically, it entwines, the depth of us. So when this fascia gets bound, that's when we have kind of skewed looks. The, the best thing I could say is start looking at people that had plastic surgery about 5 years ago, because all of a sudden you get an amazing result about 6 months to a year later. But plastic surgery, as the scar tissue starts to harden, it grows, it entwines, and it has tentacles throughout that fascia that pull. And so you'll start to notice that, smiles look a little skewed. And that happens also with filler. The filler looks great when you don't have a moving face, but we're injecting a substance into the tissue, and it's the body's kind of responsibility to send out fibrous collagen to stop whatever's invading this tissue. And so over time, excessive filler starts to distort the face completely. And just by doing something as simple as the Anma and just creating circulation and blood flow and everything, you're feeding the cells. I kind of caught a thought as I was saying that, but it's safe to do 2 weeks after Botox. And now, and Botox kind of paralyzes the muscles at hand, or the muscles chosen to not move. But muscles are responsible for lymphatic drainage. And so this muscle movement helps process toxins. And so, the Anma, we can at least get blood flow in that area to carry across. So I love to always warm up. I don't think that the Anma is ever a waste of time. It's something I personally still use. I think it's one of the best home tools. Can be taken anywhere. It doesn't need to be plugged in or charged. And I even use it on my dog. I have a separate one, but I do use it on my dog. So once you kind of warm all the way up, getting the cervical vertebrae, the traps. For those of you that are in the profession, a lot of times I do my hands. I have carpal tunnel starting, so I really kind of work right in this area just to create that kind of warming up. You can do the inner, your arms. I had one lady send me a phenomenal photo of the difference in her cellulite in her arms. And I don't sell this as a body unit. I think that probably Ashley Black's got the corner market on that, but the Anma can be improvised on that. So go ahead, and now we're going to start with the lift. So like I said, when you use the lift, prep for success. I know I kind of like oversold this, but I really do like this hyaluronic. So I'm applying it. apply it on my lips, but I'm applying it on my face, and then I'm going to put the gel over it and have a little thing of water. And you can do this too, Cece, with your lift or with your Clear Blend Mini. Have a little bowl of water, because I know how irritating it is to always have to put on this conductive gel, but you can dip those probes in water, and that kind of reactivates the gel, so you don't have to reapply gel all the time. So I'm going to push it all the way down to my décolleté, all the way on my traps. And let's go ahead. I'm using the Pico Wave today. I'm going to start out on oxygenation, or I guess that doesn't have an oxygenation, so I'm going to start out on tone. Tone and oxygenation are very, very similar. They're a rapid, shallow waveform. And so what we're doing is we're able to kind of excite the cells and create a lot of blood flow. We're also getting it from skin right to muscle. If you are using the Pico Wave or a Lift by Jane Mann, use the program 1 for right now, and then I'm going to have you stop and switch to program 2 as we get into more fascia work. So let's just start out gently, kind of going over the décolleté. And in these kind of programs, anytime you're using a program like Tone or Refine, you can move the Anma similar to how you would move it if you were using the one that isn't electrical. And so what we're really doing is I'm just lightly going over. I want to wake up all of those cells. And while I'm doing this, I'm creating little miniature action potentials between the probes. So exactly, Cece, you just kind of like, you're just kind of like going up. We're massaging and working. And I like to go underneath the clavicle because we get a good amount of lymphatic congestion in this area. So when we can kind of go towards the armpit, again, we're not doing a lymphatic massage per se, but we are just genetically kind of addressing the lymphatic because we're using microcurrent. You can start to see the blood flow happening. We're just moving, going underneath the chin. And as long as I have the two sides touching my skin at the same time, I'm achieving a benefit. I had a really great question. Sometimes people will email me and they'll say, you know, microcurrent just isn't working. I'm not understanding why. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly, and I'm going to show you kind of like a picture. You guys can see this. This is called loss of adhesion. And loss of adhesion is a very difficult condition of the skin. It's where the skin actually detaches from the muscle. And for those of you, most of you know, the face is the only place that muscles attach directly to the skin and to muscle. So when you have something like loss of adhesion, we're dealing with a different circumstance. And it's not saying that microcurrent won't work. What we'll do is you'll probably gain about a 10% difference in the skin tightening, definitely a benefit and an increase in the aesthetic value of the skin. But what you're not going to get is a tremendous result because the skin isn't attached to the muscle and the toning. So if that is a case of your clients or it's a case of you, what you need to understand is microneedling is an option, But you want microcurrent because microcurrent is charging the ATP in the muscle or in the skin cell. And so your skin is going to respond so much more favorably with more ATP than if you just go right to town and start trying to microneedle or radio frequency, that type of skin. Also, I usually recommend if clients really want an incredible change, a facelift. But that doesn't mean microcurrent isn't useful for that condition because, again, we're prepping and we're healing the skin and kind of giving the skin the best chance for healing. So that's kind of one question I got when somebody was not seeing the results she wanted to see. I asked her to send a picture, and that was kind of why she wasn't seeing the results that a lot of times we see with microcurrent. So I'm just going to kind of go up, going into that forehead. Now kind of do the windshield wiper around that eyebrow. We're kind of trapping that corrugator underneath the brow. And going to the other side. And kind of coming underneath. Maybe tiny little circles. Again, all we're doing is using the current to wake up the tissue at hand. So the activity is happening in between these two little electrodes. And if you're using the 4, we're just kind of going in, and the activity is now between the 4 electrodes. This is just a great thing. If you could just do this every morning, just wake up your skin with the lift before you do your daily routine, you'll see a huge difference because, again, we're moving those stagnant blood cells. We're oxygenating and creating kind of a metabolism in the cell. So now I want you to switch. If you have the Pico toner, I want you to switch to program 2. And if you have the Pico Wave or 3800, I want you to switch to a collagen building program. And that would probably be your Nano Refine, your Pico Refine. If you're using the MyoLift, I would use the Erase. If you're using the Clairblend Mini, don't worry, it covers everything just under that one program. So I'm going to go ahead and switch. And we're going to start to work fascia with the lift. So how does that look when we do that? Well, we're going to use our other hand. And so we always kind of anchor. And when we're stretching tissue, it's a very, very kind of like light resistance. So when I'm holding, I kind of pull down towards my décolleté. And then I always say kind of fight that resistance. So pull down, and I'm at a level 2. So I'm pressing the tissue along the muscle. I'm not pressing the muscle. And now I want you to tilt your head. You're going to feel a nice stretch. We're going to place the unit on, and we're going to just kind of lift up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and hold underneath that jawline. Kind of feeling that stretch, and we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're holding down, and we're going up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once you get to the jawline, kind of sandwich that jawline right in the middle. And last time, going up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and hold. And let's go to the other side. Kind of pulling down so you can see I kind of have my clavicle. I'm pulling that skin down. Can you see that move? So I'm pulling that tissue down and now I'm stretching, and you should feel just an organic stretch by just doing this. And now we're going to kind of tone that muscle and lengthen it at the same time. We're going up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sandwiching. With the lift, it does not matter positive or negative on top because they're so close together. It's the ideal distance for optimal microcurrent. And we're going to go back up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, holding. And last time, up, 2. Necks are so hard. I don't see anyone too young on right now, but I'm telling you, I sure wish I would have paid more attention to my neck when I started doing this in my 30s. Holding up. Now I'm going to turn my probe around. So I've got it, the little forks facing inward. And we're going to line the probes where we kind of left off. So if you're kind of in this back side of the neck, now you might overlap. But we want the 2 little prongs to come to our chin. And we're going to lean our head back as we do this. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Integrate. Yep, you guys are doing great. All the way up under that chin, and we're going to hold. And now I like to kind of tilt the corner of these probes, and I want to drag them along the jawline because we carry a lot of toxins and lymph underneath that jawline. So we're just kind of helping it, and we're just going to trace it down. Okay, it's like a little circle. We're going to go up, 2, 3, 4, extending the head back simultaneously as we're traveling up underneath that jawline, holding, tilting those probes and swooshing, kind of nudging any of those toxins in that jawline all the way down. And you can start to even see the difference in your face if you start looking at how just by releasing the neck, the mid face starts to lift. We're going to go one more time, going up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, holding, and bringing the probes over and dragging along. And coming back down. Let's go ahead and turn that probe around and do the other side. Coming up, again, kind of anchoring. It's all about the stretch with the neck. We're lengthening that neck, creating that really nice, long, lean, holding up underneath that jawline. And taking to the tips. If you want to use the 4, you can. There's no right or wrong. Just because I'm doing it one way doesn't mean it has to be done. It's what really works with your face. And that was something we took into consideration in placing these, like what would accommodate most faces. So we're coming up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and holding. And swooshing. This is great for that little pouchy thing you get right here. And coming down. Last time. Up. 2. I want you to key in, really experience the current and the stretch. Feel just the distance, the stretch of the fascia going up. It may feel like a burning, it may feel like a little bit of a strain, and pulling out and going down. So now we're just going to sandwich in that jawline. We're going to kind of hold. We're just going to hold kind of for about 30 seconds all the way up the face. And coming up to the mid. Right now we're getting kind of the buccinator that pulls. There's a rhizosaurus on top of that. Now we're going to come up. We've got the zygomatics right here, kind of sandwiching. And so what we're doing is we're just sending a current, kind of oscillating back and forth. And it's the hydrogen and the hydroxyl start to create little miniature contractions in the muscle that starts to signal to the body, we need more ATP because the face is very active right now. And that's what creates that plumping. And the more you do microcurrent, the more the body realizes it needs to produce it. And the hydrogen helps the body produce that ATP and more of it. So now I want you to kind of come to the center. And I love this little muscle, this nose, and this kind of lifts this mid part. So we're just kind of toning in that mid part, even though we're still on the fascia, but we're going to do the same as we do the lift, kind of coming across. So we'll leave the upper portion of the face for a little bit later. So we're holding. And coming up right into that buccinator. I always talk about holding because, so Cece, well, since you don't have like the full thing, you're going to hold, but then you're going to drag. Okay? So we can get this whole side of the face. So you can kind of come up, and as we're holding here, you're going to drag really slowly if you have that, okay? And that'll benefit the same as what the lift's doing. Okay, we're going to kind of come up to the zygomatics. We're holding. So I like to hold even with programs for like collagen and elastin, because again, we always have what's called the impedance of the skin, and that's the skin's resistance. We want the skin to receive the current and allow it through. And sometimes that takes a little bit of patience. And moving all the way. Now kind of place it vertically. I want you to just kind of hit this area where the nasolabial folds are. So now the current is running back and forth, almost like the striation of the buccinator and the rhizosaurus. And we're going to drag across 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, holding at the masseter. Now coming up underneath the eye. Perfect. And we're going to drag across 2. Cece, turn your unit. Yeah, perfect. Dragging all the way across. Let's just do it again because I love that for sinuses. And just hold it. You can start to feel your sinuses kind of draining. Going all the way across and holding. And let's go to the other side. So we're just going to sandwich kind of right in that jawline and hold. And we're coming up to the buccinator and the rissosaurus. Coming up to the zygomatics, kind of holding. And we'll drag across and start it over again. We're going to hold. Coming right up. Just creating just that tone of the mid face. The new product I've been kind of talking about, that Alolastin skin restoring, it has an ingredient, like an octopeptide of some sort. I'll get like the actual name. It activates dormant fat cells. So your skin, it literally like makes the fat cell wake up and be plump again. And for somebody that is like a real thin face, that's a good product to recommend. And we're going to drag this across. And now we're going to hold the unit vertically, kind of right in there. You see how that just fits right in this area. We're going to work the mouth area separate, and then we'll work at the top. Just going to kind of go all the way to the masseter. Do that again. Stretching out. So you can almost just feel the tension, the stretch. One last time. Stretching out. And then we're going to go a little bit higher, okay? Going up kind of right in that eye area. So I'm getting all the different points kind of right underneath the eye. And for you, those using like the Clairblend Mini, if you take it sideways, you're almost like getting that whole orbicularis oculi rim. So you're just kind of stretching all along this area, clearing out the toxins, going in. If you have the lift, you're hitting the whole eye muscle at the same time. Going out. Last one. Going all the way. So real quickly, we're going to work the mouth, and then we're going to switch a program to a lifting program. So I want you to just kind of do a windshield wiper on your lips. Releasing tension. all in that area, going underneath. Windshield wiper on the chin area. Now let's just take the 2 probes and hit both of these acupuncture points. We're going to hold this for a minute. And this is the orbicularis oris. It's a round muscle. And this starts to relax all the tension of the mouth. Just holding for 30 more seconds. Now you might feel your lips starting to relax and that top lip wanting to flip up. And we're going to move out to the side. There's 2 other points, and you'll find it because they're a little bit tender as you kind of place the probe there, and it's kind of on the outside now of this circular muscle. And this is just a great thing you can also do around your eyes, and it absolutely relaxes the tension. We're holding, kind of like watching paint dry. About 20 more seconds. Then we're going to slide across to the other side. Going all the way over to here, holding. I just genuinely believe microcurrent is one of the best things you can have. There are so many units on the market. I think if you get a credible company, whatever unit you have, it just feeds the skin the energy it needs to do everything we do in the treatment room. Like you should have every one of your clients on a microcurrent machine. That suits their personality. That's kind of how I always go. All right, so let's go ahead and switch our program now to a lifting program. And we're going to start down at the jawline. And when you're ready, let's just start kind of coming up. You're going to put the little prongs on the inside. And I'm just going to hold. So why would we want to tone this muscle or lift this muscle? Because in all honesty, when you think about it, the muscle, this is the platysma. It's an extension of, so we've got the platysma, we've got a masseter right here, and you've got a mentalis, and you've got, some of your chin muscles. It's not an ideal thing to think we're lifting, but what we're doing is we're plumping up that muscle. So we're not tightening it. We're actually just kind of creating a plumping effect, which fills out the face. And now we're going to move up to that buccinator area. And while we're in this area, we're going to move all the way up to that cheek area. So really, the lift program really is just sending a waveform deeper down to now address the muscle, whereas the more superficial are calculated to hit more superficial tissues. So that's your really big difference. That's why machines like the Clairblend or the Bear or Zip, they just kind of hit all of these programs in one. So it doesn't, you don't have to like adjust what you're doing. So now let's go sideways. I'm actually going to just use the 4. I'm going to start kind of right down in here. And now the current is going side by side. And we're going to drag across really slowly because the striation of the muscles are more here. And you're going to hold. We're going to come back to the chin area. And drag out. And that pace should be fairly slow. Because again, we're thinking about the skin's resistance. We're thinking about kind of really letting the electrons go in the skin and do their work. You know, a great analogy is many times when you get LED units, they want you to hold for a certain amount of time because the photons have to mitigate, you know, the stratum corneum. It's the same thing with electrons, but just one is photons and one is an electron. We still have to let the skin acquiesce and let the current in. I'm going to do it one more time. And drag across. It really helps if you just kind of absorb and receive the current. And we're coming up now to that buccinator area. And we're just pulling. All the way back towards that ear. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Holding. Pulling all the way back. To the ear. And coming up to the cheek area, right at the masseter. If you hold it, just make sure your thumb's not hitting any of the electrodes and your thumb's not absorbing the current. And we're just going to drag all the way out. And this time we're going to go all the way above the ear into the temple. Holding. And I want you to lift. So you're going to press and lift up. And coming again to that zygomatic. And then placing it, you start to even feel the difference with your sinuses. And dragging across. In that ear and up. And I want to do the other side, and then we'll start the upper face. Coming down of sandwiching. And kind of dragging it through. And holding. And coming to the center. How many of you are trying to do microcurrent at least 3 times a week on yourself? Good. I really see the difference when I do it, and it's been my time now. I've started doing the aura lift again, and I just see a difference when I incorporate the aura lift in my, every 3-day. I probably don't do it the full hour, but I definitely try to do it 3 days a week for a half hour. And coming to that buccinator, holding. And kind of dragging across. Relax your jaw muscles. Try to relax your facial muscles while you're doing this. Give them a break. Let the current do its work. Our facial muscles are involuntary to emotion, to what we see. They're always working, non-stop. They're working. So it's really nice while you're doing this to just kind of zone out, feel the current, allow the current in, kind of giving the current permission to, we're going into the zygomatics, holding right underneath. And we're going to pull out. Into the temple. And going in here. And then we're going to start we're going to turn the probe around, kind of like we're cross-hatching. Back down at the jawline. And we're right at the mentalis, kind of holding. And we're just saturating all of the tissue and the muscles with the electrons it needs. There was a really interesting article on the effects of microcurrent in rat skin. It was really about the effects of microcurrent being a direct antioxidant to the skin, coming up to the area. So when we think about aging in our 20s and 30s, right, we think about the leading cause being oxidative stress or lipid peroxidation. And what that is kind of like just really bad free radicals. And that just happens. I mean, these kids are eating out all the time, and they don't realize, well, they don't see the visual signs of aging. The internal signs are there. Keep going to the center. And that's oxidative stress, or worst case, lipid peroxidation. And that's where the cell membrane becomes compromised and it becomes hardened. So we see glycation on the skin, but now think about it like a glycated cell membrane. So microcurrent has been studied to be a direct antioxidant to the skin, meaning that it's pairing off the free radicals. And that's a great, perspective for coming up to the zygomatics for the younger generation, because they can really ward off a lot of the effects as they get older of aging, because they've managed the kind of first signs of aging, or the root causes of aging, coming all the way out to the temples and lift. So I think microcurrent just always kind of gets this reputation as a lunchtime facelift, but it's truly doing so much more than we give it credit for. And to be able to really understand the way microcurrent works and why it works, it kind of eliminates all the home tools that you're looking at. I mean, there's a home tool for everything, but how many tools do we have time for? And microcurrent kind of hits a tremendous amount. It actually penetrates product in. Not as deep as like a sonic or something, but you do definitely get the benefit. And coming out one more time into that scalp area. And now we're going to work the crown of the head first. So I want you to take your probes. I want you to hold it in the scalp. If you're using the Clairblend Mini, I want you to kind of choose approximately about a ½ inch apart as you move. So we're going to kind of hold up into that scalp, and we're lifting. You may have to increase your current because we do have the hair. And coming up a little bit more. And coming up a little bit more. And each space, I'm holding it about 10, maybe 20 seconds. I'm just kind of like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I'm kind of going over to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to go right in this eye area, and I'm going to go right in the corner of the brow, and I'm holding right in here. Now I'm going to move now to the arch of the brow, and each place we're hitting an acupuncture and acupressure points right in. Now we're going to go to the outer edge of the brow, up into the hairline if you can, like kind of right and up. I'm going to go back to that mid-brow, right at that arch, kind of holding. Again, if you've done Botox in the last 2 weeks, it's not recommended you do that because you can make the Botox travel. But microcurrent is a great complement to Botox because we're still continuing blood flow to an area, nourishing the tissue. And now we're going to turn over to that corner Just lifting. Make sure your fingers aren't on the other probes. For those that you came on late, no worries. We had a time change. We had daylight savings time, so it might have messed you guys up. In Las Vegas, we moved up an hour. So now in the UK, where it used to be 8 hours, I think it's 7 hours. So it does make a difference when we don't think about it, because the time doesn't change in the UK. But Christina, just so you know, I'm planning to be in London on the 12th of May. And I think we're going to be doing a class and an introduction of a new unit. So I'm going to be putting out, telling you where. I'm looking at the Rembrandt Hotel right now in London, or out of my girlfriend Donna's location. So I will be there teaching the facial contouring, a new technique along with the lift. And back to the corner. So even though we're on a lifting program, I want to finish just by going over the whole face, very similar to the way we did with the Anma. So just kind of re-wet your face, and let's just go over stimulating the tissue now at a deeper level. So we're really working that current, even though we're on a lifting program that's traditionally more of a holding. We're just going over it. And just like you would use the Anma, so however you like to use the Anma, use the lift that way. It's not like once you lift your skin, you can't move your face. We're just releasing that fascia deeper. We're going in. Just love it. Up and down, back and forth, however you want to do it. Just really kind of waking up that skin one last time. The more I use the lift, I mean, I liked it when I created it, but I love it. And it's just, I feel it is one of the most versatile tools out there to attach to your microcurrent unit. All right, ladies, we are finished with today's kind of microcurrent with me, lift with me. I wanted to show you all the flexibility. Next week we will do gloves, and probably lift with the lift at the end too. So we'll see you next time. Thank you.